When I reach 50 subs, I'm going to give away a set of my personal dice. If you want to take part in this giveaway, you just have to join my Discord server and introduce yourself. Now, on to the video. Hello there, adventurer! Welcome to the Crooked Cleric, where the ales are great, but the tales are greater. Have you come in search of entertainment, my friend? Well, you've come to the right place. Grab a brew, have a seat, and I shall tell you a tale I call Veteran D&D Players Decide to Haze a New DM. Shall we begin? Brace yourselves, because this one is going to be quite long as the context is fairly important. This happened several years ago now. As usual, all names used are obviously fake, but here's a quick rundown of names to remember. Myself, the first-time DM in question. Mike, a first-time D&D player playing a rogue. Isaac, another first-time D&D player and longtime friend playing a Bloodhunter. Sara, veteran player and forever DM playing a Warlock. And Zeke, veteran player and good friends with Sara playing a lawful evil Druid. I always had a love for writing stories, and really enjoyed the D&D games Sara hosted for us all on a weekly basis, so I sat down and figured I'd run my first ever 5th edition campaign for my close group of friends. I spent several months writing out a heavily homebrewed world and story, as I didn't have much interest in running a module, and sent the invitations out when I had enough to go off of. The world I had envisioned was simple enough. I didn't know anything about structuring a campaign, so I decided I would simply build it as if it was a video game RPG, with a main overarching plot for the players to follow, laced with various side quests that would grant additional gold and loot. Apologies for having to be vague to maintain relative anonymity, but the general driving force behind the campaign was that an unnatural event which had gripped the realm and driven many of the residents violent and insane. The only semblance of government trying to maintain order was the High Council, made up of ambassadors from various nations that had united to form one empire. This council was to be the vessel for the main quests to be delivered to the players. After a few sessions, things were going relatively well. Isaac and Mike were getting the hang of things, and since I started the game at level 3, it seemed that everyone was really getting a good feel for their characters' combat abilities. During this time period, I was met with mostly good feedback, and the party seemed interested to work with the council, and so I set about cementing a few more details of the campaign. The party met with the council for the first time under the excuse of delivering a letter they retrieved from a slain Imperial courier, and managed to convince the council to give them a quest. The party was to investigate what had happened to the Alchemists Guild in the city that was searching for a cure to the madness, and they would be compensated very generously for their efforts. During this time, Zeke was incredibly adamant that this compensation include a shortbow for whatever reason, and so a confused council member pledged to get it for him. In hindsight, I probably should have been suspicious about Zeke choosing to make a lawful evil character in what was supposed to be a good guy campaign, but I was too busy trying to be the cool DM that I didn't think to tell him no. I figured things were fine, as we were now several sessions into the game. Having completed their quest, the party returned to the council to find the guard dead and the building taken over by some of the violently insane townspeople I briefly mentioned earlier. A few of the council members had died, leaving 6 out of the original 9, but the party was able to save the rest. This is where things take a turn for the worse. For no well-explained reason, Zeke and Sara each have their characters kill another council member, smug tones in their voices as they describe brutally executing the wounded NPCs I had spent weeks perfecting with backstories and personalities. This sent me into a bit of a panic, though I didn't say anything as Zeke's druid demanded to know why they haven't been given their gold and, most importantly for some reason, his shortbow upon their return as they were promised. During this time, Sara's Warlock goaded Isaac's Bloodhunter into joining in, and eviscerating a third council member, leaving 3 remaining. The head of the council began stammering out their excuse, that they were just attacked, and though they had the money, they hadn't had the time to procure the shortbow yet. But Zeke evidently decided he wasn't talking fast enough, and had Issac kill yet another member. The justification was evidently not good enough for Zeke, as Zeke killed the head councilman as well. 1 left. At this point, I was audibly distraught. The almost year of planning and world building I made for my friends had vanished up in smoke, and I wasn't an experienced enough DM to know that I should have put a stop to things and demanded justifications for these actions far sooner. Sara convinced Mike, who had previously been sitting on the sidelines and was just as confused as I was, to begin violently interrogating the last remaining councilwoman. Unbeknownst to the party, this woman was actually a veteran adventurer and an extremely powerful sorcerer, an important plot point in a later side quest. So this prompted a relatively unbalanced fight for the now level 5 party, in which Mike's character ultimately died via a disintegration spell, and the last remaining councilwoman was able to escape. Defeated and incredibly upset, I chose to end the session there. Sara and Zeke began laughing, saying that this was all part of being a DM, and that I should have known to prepare for every possibility, as, "You can never tell or plan for what a player is going to do." Mike was upset that his first ever D&D character had just died. Issac regretted playing along because he was coming to the realization that he had acted out of character and betrayed his backstory. And Sara and Zeke were smug as ever that they managed to work together and send my entire campaign plans up in smoke. Things did end up working out in the end, though. Nobody was kicked out of the game, though if this had happened nowadays, I think I definitely would have given Zeke and Sara the boot over this. I managed to salvage the game by producing alternative leads. Zeke suffered a harsh alignment shift to chaotic evil, and his character eventually found himself dead, as his further scheming got him killed by the rest of the party. The inability of a council to lead a cure effort led to Sara's character succumbing and going mad down the line, and Mike sat down and made what was quite possibly my favorite player character I've ever had at one of my tables. Issac doesn't have much time for D&D anymore, but he enjoyed the remainder of the campaign with a new character, and that's enough for me. The campaign continued for another 2 years after this, and I was repeatedly given good feedback by everyone present, including Sara and Zeke, though I'd be lying if I said I wasn't upset about what happened for a while. I'll never understand why veteran players feel the need to torment new DMs just trying their best. I absolutely could have handled things better, though. If I had to fish for a positive here, this experience at least taught me where to draw the line in my future campaigns. TLDR, veteran D&D players kill important plot NPCs I had planned my first campaign around, and almost ruined the fun for 2 first-time players just to spite me and teach me some weird lesson about expecting the unexpected. And that is the end of our tale. Well, traveler, did it quench your thirst for entertainment? Aye, I thought it might. I got a knack for this sort of thing. Don't forget to like and subscribe on your way out. Everyone helps, and come back later for another amazing tale. We'll see you next time.